Let's have a look now at a councillor in Victoria who has received quite a lot of criticism, and deservedly so, off the back of her wearing a keffiyeh during a Bondi massacre mourning. Take a look at some of the audio that she said on the ABC as to why she did this.
It was quite discreet. It wasn't a full keffiyeh. I reject the idea that any symbol of Palestine is anti-Jewish.
So Sue Bolton is a member of the Socialist Alliance as a councillor. What's also worth noting is that Marybeck Council also have a Palestinian flag hanging out the front of their town hall, of which is still, in their mind, displayed. It hasn't even come down, even just for a few days after what we saw in Bondi. But the fact that she said that it was just a small keffiyeh, it still had the colours of the Palestinian flag at the bottom, and just the sheer, it's just so disrespectful. And you're just not thinking through what...
Someone wore a small swastika. Would that make it any better because it's more discreet? I mean, it wasn't even that discreet. I mean, this is highly offensive. I mean, this is a time when the council's making a statement about solidarity with the Jewish people, and you wear a symbol for what many Jews, most Jews, is a symbol of hatred. It's a symbol of the resistance, the Palestinian resistance that saw more than 1,200 people killed on October 7 and 250 people taken hostage, and so much other violence and suffering over the past few decades, including through the intifadas. It's just, I don't think it was tone deaf. I know you said that in your intro, Freya. I disagree. It was deliberate. It was deliberately provocative. Yep. And, you know, we saw similar scenes outside the Bondi Vigil, where I spent a lot of this week reporting. There was one woman, a so-called, she claims she's a Jewish activist with a very fringe anti-Zionist, anti-Israel group called Jews Against the Occupation, which testified at an inquiry that in New South Wales Parliament that they would not condemn Hamas over October 7 and other atrocities. So that tells you everything this group is about. She showed up with a Greens councillor from the local council in that Bondi area, and she tried to antagonise the people at the protest by wearing a keffiyeh. At the protest, at a vigil for the victims on the first day, on the Monday. This is our exchange.
Why did you turn up today? Why have you turned up here wearing a Palestinian keffiyeh?
The community has politicised this tragedy. We are standing here because the flag of Israel represents the genocide.
And while all the focus was on that loony woman, she was there with a Greens councillor, as I said earlier, Dominic Y. Canuck. At a council meeting back in March, he actually opposed making any sort of strategy, having any sort of strategy in council, which is an area that represents a lot of Jewish people, a strategy to protect residents from rising anti-Semitism. So what the heck is that guy doing at a memorial for people who have been the victims of a violent anti-Semitic terror attack?
What was the response like when she was there? Because I remember watching that on the TV as it was unfolding, and I thought, oh gosh, Caroline, you're doing well. You're running after this woman to see what she's doing there.
Yeah.
But what was the response from other people around?
From other people before that, as we showed people on air that day, and I reported later, it was furious. She stood still for, I would say, about 10 minutes, just in a standoff with the crowd. People created almost a ring around her, and there was no violence or any. I don't think anyone would have acted up, but police were protecting her. She refused to move on. People were furiously demanding that she go, and how dare she turn up, which I think is entirely justified. And she stood there silent. And then when police eventually, after a very long time, when you contrast how they've treated, you know, one lone Jewish person or pro-Israel person turning up to a pro-Palestine protest, they've moved them on straight away. They've even arrested them on the scene. That didn't happen here. It was more like they were protecting her from from any no threat of violence. I don't know what it was.
This just makes me sick. This makes me sick. And what is so insulting is you've already seen this with the left-wing media. They're trying to claim that we are the ones politicising the Bondi massacre. On the 7:30 report last night, putting it to Josh Frydenberg. How do we know this isn't just you trying to line yourself up to run for politics? They are the ones.
As he said, offensive.
Deeply, deeply offensive. These are the guys that are politicising this massacre. Is it not enough that 15 people have been killed? Is it not enough to just pay your respects and leave it be? I think that socialist councillor from Melbourne, Sue Bolton, it's honestly better that she didn't even say anything about the massacre, because all she's doing is virtue signalling, saying, see, I'm a friend of the Jewish community while I wear a keffiyeh right after you've been massacred. It is so insulting and just plain disgusting.